Hey guys, it's Gareth also Pew Pew Pew. This is now the third time I'm trying to record this, so hopefully everything goes swimmingly. This is my first time using both OBS and the recording editing software that I will be using, so forgive me if there are any little quirks and little issues here and there. Now, as you can see, this is week 1 of season 8 of the GPC. Yes, we are back. It's been a while. There was a few delays when it came to preparing for this season. We've extended the admin team. We've basically got a whole new roster outside of 5 or 6 coaches, so it's quite a big switch up. It's been quite a lot of effort, and I thank everyone who's given me a hand thus far. As you can see, we're using the layout back from season 6 that Rye made for us, so once again thank you for him for doing that. So hopefully I will not have forgotten to put his link down below. Thanks again to Lars for doing yet another GPC thumbnail base. This one's absolutely amazing. He does incredible work, and the fact that he's doing it for free is absolutely insane. So once again thank you to him. And yeah, I haven't done a draft analysis, so I'll quickly go over my full draft, which is on the left side of your screen, which is Mega Sizzle, Thunderous T, Suicune, Necrozma, Ribombee, Dhelmise, Rotom Heat, Druddigon, Tauros, Alolan Trio, and Sork. A lot of these mons I wanted to use, namely the top 5. The rest of it was just sort of to fill it out. I don't know how this team plays yet. Obviously, having played week 1 with it, I understand the basics of it, but you really have to do a good few weeks before you get a good feel of a team. But this week we are facing off against Golden Centurion Carson, one of the new members, coach of the Jump City Hitmonlees. And he has Mega Gardevoir, Scizor, Greninja, Alolan Muck, Decidueye, Diggersby, Lycanroc Dusk, Seismitoad, Zebstrika, Machamp, and Incineroar. Looking based solely upon matchup, I have absolutely nothing for Mega Gardevoir if it packs HP Fire and Psyshock. I have absolutely nothing for Scizor once my Mega Scizor and Suicune goes down, and Greninja is a big threat as always. Basically, his offense is quite threatening to mine, but my offense is quite threatening to his as well. Things like Ribombee do a lot of damage once Scizor is down, or if Lycanroc doesn't have Accelerock. Dhelmise can do quite a bit of damage, and a few things like Mega Scizor can pressure his team efficiently. So what I'm expecting him to bring is Mega Gardevoir, Scizor, Greninja, Diggersby, Seismitoad, and one of either Alolan Muck, Decidueye, Lycanroc, or Machamp. He can easily bring any combination of those, but the 5 that I am expecting are Mega Gardevoir, Scizor, Greninja, and Diggersby. Those put a lot of pressure on my team. Obviously it's up to him which ones he brings, but that's the ones that I really expected. And thus I brought Ribombee as my first pick, mainly because it outspeeds Greninja. This definitely wasn't the EV spread that I had. I have no idea why this happened. I realised this upon my first attempt at recording this, that there was an issue with the speed. I'm not sure exactly what the speed EV, like the spread was, but it was specific to speed creep Greninja. So whatever speed investment that was, obviously the rest in special attack and HP, nothing too fancy. Basically, if Sizzle's down, or if he brings Lycanroc that doesn't have Accelerock, once I get a Quiver Dance up, I can just win. Farium Z, Moonblast basically bops anything that wants to switch in, and outside of that, Stabs and HP Fire do the rest. It's pretty straightforward, this game. Ribombee is going to do a lot of work, hopefully, as long as that Scizor goes down. To facilitate that, we do have a Rocky Helmet Suicune. A lot of the things that do want to hit this either will do about 30% and then switch out, or if they're set up, do over half, so leftovers isn't the most useful. So Rocky Helmet is good for wearing things down like the Scizor, like the Diggersby, like the Muck potentially. Scald is just generally good against his team. Not much really wants to switch on a Scald outside of his Seismitoad. Obviously he could bring in his Mega Gardevoir and Greninja and stuff like that, but Seismitoad would be his main switch into it if he brought it, which is why Toxic is there. It wears down things that do want to take a Scald. His 2 main ways to stop Toxic being Muck and Scizor don't want to take a Scald. Tailwind is useful just to buff up the Mega Scizor, as the speed on that could allow me to potentially get a few kills here and there, and maybe even set up with it, as you'll see the set soon. And Roar is good for phasing out a Scizor or a setup Diggersby. Mega Scizor. Now this spread, oh yeah, that's fully defensive for the aforementioned threats. Mega Scizor, pretty straightforward this week. The whole plan is to have it be used as a defensive pivot against Mega Gardevoir. Obviously not going to switch directly in unless he's definitely not clicking HP Fire for whatever reason. The 299 Spadef allows me to take 2 hyper voices easy peasy, and plus reveals to him that I'm specially defensive, which is quite crucial because with the 3 moves of Bullet Punch, U-turn and Roost, he's more than likely not going to expect Swords Dance. I've run this set before in the IPA where you just set up Swords Dances on something that thinks that it's somewhat of a defensive check, only to then realise that it does have the setup option and that it can pressure his team from there on out. So hopefully I can catch him off guard with that, which I have done with great success in the past. And this particular speed, I believe, with 24 at +2 with the Tailwind, allows me to outspeed Greninja, unless I'm mistaken. I believe that was the plan. I am not 100% certain. It might have been to outspeed a certain Scarfer, like Diggersby maybe, or even Decidueye. I'm not 100% sure on that, but that was the plan at least. Yeah, menu to make Gardevoir and set up a Swords Dance on something that could be a defensive check. Then we have Rotom Heat, yet another Gardevoir check up somewhat, mainly because it can switch in. That's about as good a check as I'm going to get. Pain Split is there because I can take a Psychic and Hyper Voice. Hyper Voice does about 38%, Psychic does about 50 something. I believe it's 58, so I can just Pain Split up on it. Overheat is just there to wear things down. It's quite useful for the Scizor and stuff like that. Volt Switch, obviously, for Momentum, and Will-O-Wisp is mainly there for the Diggersby, or something else that might want to switch in, like the Alolan Muk. Yeah, that was the plan behind it. Pretty straightforward, nothing too fancy. The speed was to create something defensive, or maybe even something speedy, like a speedy Decidueye, or I'm not exactly sure what that speed was for. Maybe even max speed Scizor. I'm not 100% certain on that, but it was definitely to creep something. It has been a while since I made this team, quite a long time actually, so I can't remember exactly what everything was specific for. Then we have Delmise with the Occa Berry. This is mainly for the Diggersby. If you look at what coverage he has to bring against me, if he's set up move, normal stab, ground stab coverage, that coverage is always going to be fire. He doesn't need ice against me. Fire is useful for the Mega Scizor, and of course this, which would otherwise be a check. So Occa Berry is kind of the standard berry that I'd use. Power Whip, once again, for the Diggersby. Straight up Okos, easy peasy. Rapid Spin for acid removal, obviously. Knockoff is very useful for things like the Scizor, the Alolan Muk if it's got a berry, or even a Seismitoad. Synthesis, pretty straightforward. Recovery, you know the drill. Again, nothing too fancy in terms of the EVs on this one. And finally we have the Philemon. I wanted to bring Stealth Rocks. I wasn't sure to what capacity I should do that. Alolan Dugtrio was an option, but I decided against bringing it instead of this. Colberberry Necrozma kind of deals somewhat with Diggersby if it's running knockoff for the coverage. Not to mention it also can kind of wall the Lycanroc and Machamp and stuff like that. Machamp would otherwise be quite a threat. So that's the main reason why this is here. Photon Geyser obviously does quite a lot of damage to anything outside of Greninja and Mega Gardevoir, and Alolan Muk. Stealth Rock, obviously Stealth Rock. Moonlight for longevity and Thunder Wave. Again, nothing too fancy from the EV spread, just pretty straightforward. So yeah, that's about all there is to the builder this week. Again, nothing too particularly crazy or anything of the sort, but let's just hop straight into the battle and see how it went down. So you have the battle screen, hopefully, depending on how well I manage my OBS. Again, first time using it, so hopefully it worked smoothly. As you can see, he decided to bring the Alolan Muk, Seismitoad, Diggersby, Scizor, Lycanroc Dusk, and Mega Gardevoir. No Greninja, which I'm quite happy to see. I would have expected over either the Muk or the Lycanroc. But the team that he brings does make sense in the sense that these are good walls when paired together, especially against my team, and these can pivot well around each other. So that's about it. My whole idea with my lead was that he was probably going to lead Scizor expecting Rabombi, or he was going to lead Seismitoad predicting the Rotom Heat. And either way, Mega Scizor was a safe bet because I could just U-turn out and do whatever the hell I wanted. And in case he led Gardevoir or Diggersby, again, same concept. So I just decided to lead Mega Scizor, easy U-turn, easy heal that. At this point, I know by the fact that he led it, he's Sash, or some sorry, or something to that effect. So I don't want to Bullet Punch and get it down to a range where he can pull out some potential strat. I'm not sure if this gets counter or anything of the sort. So I just U-turn out as I Mega Evolve, as he reveals to have the Endeavour. So not clicking Bullet Punch was definitely the right play. I just U-turned out, taking no risks, and doing quite a hefty chunk to this. At this point, pretty safe switch into Delmise. Nothing that thing could do to me too much, and it definitely doesn't want to stay in and die straight away. And plus, in case he has rocks, I can rapid spit them away. Here, my play is 100% to knock off. It didn't kill the Lycan Rock from there, but it definitely would have done a lot of damage to it, and it meant that I covered any switch potentially into Scizor or this. And as I said, getting rid of the Figgy Berry is very, very important. It means this thing's longevity is quite reduced. And my play, every single time he goes into this, is going into Suicune to get the Rocky Helmet off as he reveals the knockoff. So that's one move on this that I know already, which means that there's one less chance of him having fire coverage from a Mega Sizzle. So here I stay in and go for the Toxic, expecting him to go into Seismitoad on the pretty obvious Scald, as he stays in and goes for the Toxic himself. I did not expect Toxic on this at all. I should have been keyed off by the fact that he wasn't Assault Vest, but to that I say, you know, fair play, fair prep. So I know he's got Knockoff Toxic. I'm thinking P-Jab, probably Pursuit or Fire Punch. Not really too sure which it will be, but at this point my play is 100% switch out into Mega Scizor, expecting the Seismitoad as he does go out into the Lycan Rock. Pretty safe Bullet Punch here, not messing around with this, don't want him to get rocks up if I can avoid it, as he goes straight out into Seismitoad. This damage reveals that he's bulky. I don't believe it was fully physically defensive, it was some either mixed defense or it was a high roll on, or low roll on a base HP. As I just U-turn out, that confirms that he isn't fully physically defensive, as I can just go straight out into my Delmise. It's pretty safe switch every time on this as he goes for the knockoff, which is unfortunate. Again, I did not expect him to knock off on that turn. If I'd have set up an SD, that could have been quite spicy. But he gets rid of my Yoka Berry, which is unfortunate because now DSB is instantly more of a threat. As I just synthesis up and get my HP back. That's a very hard word to pronounce, by the way. Yeah, so here at this point, his play is obviously to knock off or Pursuit. I half expected him to Pursuit and was tempted to stay in and go for a Power Whip to get damage, but I thought it's worth just to find out what coverage he has on this. So I go straight out into my Mega Scizor, as he does indeed reveal the Fire Punch. Now this is huge. My Mega Scizor needs to stay healthy for basically everything on his team, and the fact that the stuck damage is quite unfortunate. I roost up expecting him to either predict me to switch or just to, in case that was a higher roll on his behalf, as he does go for the second one and do even more. So I don't want to mess around with rolls on this. I'm just going to go straight out into my Suicune. No point on risking this for the biscuit, and I get Fire Punched, and it does jack all. So here I'm thinking, right, he knows I clicked Toxic last time. He has to 100% go into Seismitoad expecting the Scald, and I go for the Toxic again as he goes out into his Scizor. So that's unfortunate. His Scizor just absorbs that and takes no damage. Obviously, that's the whole point of it. Here I could have stayed in, and I probably should have stayed in with the Suicune on the predicted U-turn and gone for a Scald or a Toxic, as he does just U-turn out once again. So it's quite unfortunate. That was possibly a misplay on my behalf, because this lets in this Lycan Rock for free. I just got mine on Cosma, because if he's going to set up rocks, I want to get mine up as well. Here I make kind of a misplay, forgetting this thing gets taunt. I should have clicked Photon Geyser here, just killing yourself, but I go for the rock, split, doing the obvious play, as he gets the Endeavour off and basically knocks me down to the point of HP where it doesn't even matter anymore. And Photon Geyser obviously just kills this, not a problem. First kill of the game, going to Necrozma. Who'd have thought? He goes straight out into his Hermione, the Gardevoir. I don't know why I didn't just sack my Necrozma at that point. Going for a Thunder Wave, potentially if he went for a Side Shot, could have been quite clutch. But yeah, I did not expect here to outspeed this Gardevoir. If I did, I would have gone for the Pain Split, which could have been quite handy. But this reveals to me that he's a bulkier, modest set. The damage showed that he was modest, but I expected him to be modest fast. So I was kind of caught off guard by that. I should have gone for the Pain Split either way, just to cover both options. So that was kind of an error on my behalf, as he just kills me off with the Psyshock, which was kind of the obvious play. Here I go out into my Mega Scizor. It's the only ultimatum I have for this thing without wasting my Z move. And here I know for a fact he's going to expect me to roost, because this thing is extremely important to me this game. And for that reason and that reason alone, and the fact that Gardevoir is a threat, I just clicked Bullet Punch. That was definitely my play. I could have potentially roosted, but if he had HP Fire, then this one was gone, and I didn't want to risk that. Go straight on to Diggersby. This thing's going to set up. I do not want to let it get free set up, so I'm just going to Bullet Punch, do a solid 40% to it, as he does set up the agility, which is quite scary, but I know for a fact that I have things that can deal with it to an extent, as I do get another bullet punch off as he 5-punches me, which was the coverage that I expected, and he takes life orb damage, which is very important, because now I know I can stack something off to this, and I don't have to worry about it sweeping through my team because of the life orb. So with the life orb, it trades kills with a Necrozma, so we're currently 3-3 with my Suicune, Dhelmise and Ribombee left, his Scizor, Alolan Muck and Seismitoad left. At this point I'm thinking he's either going to go Scizor or Muck, expecting my Ribombee, because that would be my more obvious play. So I just go straight Suicune, as he does go the Alolan Muck. Here is the one turn where I thought, right, I haven't revealed Scald, I've only shown Toxic so far, maybe he'll stay in and I can get a burn on this, but he does make the correct play and switch out into his Seismitoad. If I'd have clicked Toxic there, that would have been extremely useful, as now my Suicune's just going to start racking up the Toxic damage and basically getting to a point of HP where it can't switch in on the Scizor. I go straight out into my Dhelmise, not wanting to risk anything. He goes to the Toxic again, so he's revealed Toxic on 2 different Mons, which I didn't expect. And now I just click Power Whip because I need damage off on both this and the Scizor in case he switches them in. Oh, sorry, I go for the Rapid Spin this time. As now I could just go for the Power Whip. I need damage off on this, as he does really well the Poison Jab, so we've seen his full moveset. And I missed the Power Whip, which is quite unfortunate because now it's not in range of Fairium Z. It doesn't really matter in the long run, mainly because his Scizor now just sweeps anyway. He did reveal to have it beat Ockerberry in the end anyway, so even if he didn't have Bullet Punch, it would have beat this Ribombee regardless. So in the end that didn't really matter. The main thing that ended up swaying the game in his favour was the Fire Punch on the Mega Scizor. I should have scouted for that and gone straight onto Suicune in the first place, but that was just an error on my behalf. He goes into the Scizor. I thought maybe I could switch into this and eat 2 Bullet Punches if he's Scarf or whatever. That does nothing obviously, but he does reveal to not be Scarfed and click U-turn I believe. Oh no, he clicks Bullet Punch again, sorry. As here I just go for the Scald, don't get the burn. Burn wouldn't have really mattered after the damage that he got off on the Ribombee, and it's pretty much game. He just clicks Bullet Punch again and it's all over. Yeah, the main thing to take away from this game is I should have scouted both for the Fire Punch on this and for the Gardevoir set by clicking Pain Split on Rotom and going into Suicune instead of Scizor on the Muck. Those were 2 mistakes that did end up costing me the game. To be fair to Carson, he didn't really misstep. He didn't do anything that was over aggressive or overly unnecessary, outside of maybe using his Diggersby at the wrong time. That would be the only thing that I could say he did to a lesser extent, but the way that he played was extremely good and not telling of his talent and the fact that he should really be in this league. So yeah, that's all there is to say really about this game. Well played to Carson. He deserved the win in that case, mainly due to the fact that I made the mistakes and he kept his head steady. A close 2-0 loss. Sadly, it's mirroring what I'm doing in the IPI at the moment, where I have lost currently 3 games 2-0. So that's less than ideal to say the least. Hopefully I can break out of this losing streak by playing Johnny next week, who obviously is one of the returning members, one of the stronger members for sure, and now one of the admins, so somebody who I've got to know a bit better over the past few weeks. And his team is extremely scary for mine to deal with, notably the Hydreigon, but we'll go over that once we get into the battle with him. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope it came out alright on the new setup that I'm running at the moment, and I'll see you in the next one.